Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Robot Damashii or Robot Spirits Side EVA-R number 077 EVA-02 production model from Evangelion. So this is a very unique looking figure. I think most of you might be surprised that it's surprisingly well made. There's a ton of articulation in it, and it's kind of cool. It's not something I personally would like to own. This was loaned to me, but I think some of you might, especially if you're Evangelion fans. It's a pretty cool figure. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, so this guy stands in a hunched over position, fairly neutral hunched position. It's about 11 centimeters total, which makes it just about, let's say 4.5 inches. Now, of course, if you want to, you can straighten him all the way out and make him stand all the way up. That's completely up to you, and of course he's going to be a lot taller. I'll just give you a quick estimation as to how tall he is like that, and that's going to be just about 6.75 inches, right around there, which makes it about 17 centimeters. Again, it's completely dependent on how you have him posed, so that's up to you. So this guy doesn't have a ton of paintwork on him. He's got, as you can see, a lot of color, but most of it's molded. We have a few different reds and grays and things. The yellow is painted, the whites are painted, and some of the red is painted, and for the most part it's fairly clean. We do have some issues with the paint not being totally clean. If you look there on his left bicep, there's some issue, but mostly it's not so bad. I think it looks pretty good, and it's definitely going to look nice on the shelf. If you don't get too close to it with like a zoom lens, then you should be just fine. Before we get into the figure anymore, though, let's talk accessories. We have the two wide open hands that come on him in the package. Then we have two hands that are slightly more clenched. We have an interchangeable tongue, so you have the small one and the long one. Then we have four miniature buildings. We have the two taller ones and then the two flatter parking garage looking ones. And then technically all of the little tuber thingies on the back are accessories, I guess. They come on little sprues and you have to break them off and peg them in, but they're not really accessories. So wouldn't really worry about that. Now, as far as articulation goes, this guy's loaded with articulation. It's not all incredibly functional, but it is all loaded. So, let's start with the back. Every one of these guys, like I said, you have to break them off the sprue and then peg them in. They're all on ball pegs, so you can move them around. If it adjusts how you want to pose them, you can do that. So that's kind of cool. I like that they included it rather than just having them all molded in like they did for the ones up here. For the head, we have a little tiny ball hinge for the top of the head itself that lets the mouth open and close. And then since it's a ball hinge, you can technically rotate this top part around, but you probably don't want to do that. You do have another ball hinge where it connects to the neck, so you have really good range up and down. And then, of course, you can rotate that on both ends of the ball hinge. Nothing new here. For this gray part, I'm not sure. I think it's just a ball peg. It feels like it's just a standard ball peg to let the whole thing move around. And some of it, I'd have to really disassemble it to tell you specifically because I can't see inside, but I can show you what it can do. For the two pectoral areas, they're just ball hinges with these gray caps over them. So you have the hinge part of the ball, and then of course it'll rotate down there where it pegs into the torso, and it rotates on this end where it actually turns into a ball peg, and this red part is on a ball peg like that. And then that red part goes down into the shoulder, which gives you your bicep swivel, if you want to call it a bicep swivel. Like I said, there's just tons of little bits of articulation in here. You really shouldn't have too much trouble posing him. Now, one thing to note is that most of the articulation is fairly loose, but the figure is fairly light, so it hasn't been a problem for me, but it's something to be aware of. For the elbow, you just have your single hinge. It'll technically swivel on both ends, but it's not really sculpted for it, so I wouldn't really try it too much. But you get really good range out of that hinge. It's fantastic. And then the wrists are just standard basic ball hinges, just like you would expect from most SH Figure Arts, or some of the Robot Damashii have it. So it'll swivel at both ends, and it has the hinge. Now, as we move down the torso, I guess we can just keep going down. What's the best way for me to show you? I guess I'll try to describe it since most of it I can't show you. You can pull the limbs off, by the way. They're just ball pegs and they're not super tight, like I said, so they'll come off. It's no big deal. We have a ball peg for the upper torso, which just lets the whole thing move around. Down here we have a really large ball hinge, which, oh man, this guy's kind of hard to pose, by the way. You have a really big ball hinge, which lets him do a huge crunch, and it goes pretty far back. And the cool thing about that ball hinge, which I don't know, can you guys see? Yeah, you can. That big ball in there is the actual hinge. It's connected with a ball peg to this part of the torso, and then I think it's a straight peg down here. But so you can rotate it all the way around that way, and then you can just lean him in every direction that way. And then down here we have another, I think it's just a ball peg that lets the whole thing move around even more. And then at the bottom of that, is that one a ball peg too? Yeah, I think we just have even another ball peg at the very bottom of the torso. So he's got tons and tons of posability in that regard. You do have to be careful, like I said, as you're posing him. These guys can be popped off fairly easily, but no big deal. You can just pop them right back on. For the hips, we have hinged ball pegs, which I didn't think we would need since he's so lanky anyway, but you can put him in the up position to make him look a little bit better, or you can pull him down and give him incredible range. Pretty much do whatever you want with this figure. He's going to pose. No problem at all. So, of course, we have that ball socket, which lets the leg move all the way around on there. And then we have the connection between that dark red to the light red where the socket meets the hip. So that gives you your swivel, and it's actually a ball peg, so you can move it around even more. And then for the knee, we have that same kind of joint as in the elbow, which gives you really good range. And for the ankle, it's essentially a ball hinge, but it gives you a perfect ankle rocker without really any rotation. So it's really nice. It does kind of have to be rotated a little bit to get it over there, but it works really well. You have the full rotation if you want it there. You have really good hinge action right there. And we have a somewhat awkward but functional toe hinge. So, if you like articulation on a figure, this guy is one for you. If you like Evangelion and you were thinking about picking up one of these figures, I'd say go ahead and get it. It's a pretty nice figure. Doesn't really do it for me personally, just because I never really got into Evangelion, and it's, I don't know, it's a kind of an acquired taste in terms of the design, but if you want one, it is a good figure, and I have to say I recommend it. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That helps me out a whole lot, and I really do appreciate it. And make sure you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And then, if you are subscribed, click that little bell button. You guys need to turn on notifications because YouTube is acting funny lately. They're changing the way subscriptions work. It might even unsubscribe some people, so make sure you're subscribed. And then that notification button will make sure that you actually see when I make a video. That's going to be helpful. Because I do have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. It's your one-stop shop for pop culture. I don't know. I was trying to come up with something, but I'm gonna stop there. So thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe, and in the meantime, keep collecting.